You know, Alex, we might have got rid of Soviet communism, but we've really got Euro communism, and it's alive and well with centralised state control. And no free speech is allowed unless it's approved by the dear leaders. Because actually, you know, we took the brick out of the wall for Brexit, and what we've seen is that the edifice is now coming down. So across Poland, across Hungary, in Italy, in Austria, the people are revolting. They're actually voting in the populist leaders. So what they're trying to do is control our speech. And I wasn't just shut down about talking about Brexit, and that speech, I have my 1 minute. You're only allowed to have a minute. You're not allowed to have any more. They cut you down. They stop you just before that minute, whereas others go on for ad infinitum. I also asked a question, an urgent human rights question, about Tommy Robinson to the UK Conservatives. I don't call on the European Parliament to do anything, so my question was directly to the UK Conservatives. As soon as I said, I have got an urgent human rights question, I am given the floor because that's what happens before voting, and then I was shut down. As soon as I mentioned Tommy Robinson in the urgent human rights question, my microphone went off immediately and the whole place erupted, apart from our side, who has been standing up for Tommy. You know, he's been an issue across the whole of the EU.
Trump and Kim, let's celebrate it. Austria, Italy, Hungary, Poland, Slovenia. We're all moving on. Your regime has become more and more irrelevant. In London on Saturday, 20,000 people attended a rally to free political prisoner Tommy Robinson. And those 20,000 people supported Brexit. In May, another 10,000 people marched in support of free speech. They too support Brexit. 17.4 million people voted for Brexit. They still support Brexit. The majority of the people want the government to get on with Brexit. You people entertain UK Ramonas, the modern-day devil, George Soros, a foreigner kicked out of his own country, an open borders billionaire who openly fights democracy. He openly pays MEPs to dance to his tune. You're all suffering from DDD, democracy deficit disorder, and that's why we're marching again in London on the 23rd of June. We want our country back. Don't cut me off.
No, you're going too fast.
1 minute, 2 now.
No, you're going... could I just ask... Can you listen? Because I think we both speak English, so we can be very clear. What I was trying to do was help you communicate. You are going far too fast for the interpreter.
Yeah, but do you know, I'm not speaking to all of them in here. I'm speaking to the UK. I'm speaking to Mrs. May. I wasn't sent here to talk to any of you. I was sent here to defend the British people.
Can I just... Colleagues, please. Please, just a little bit of quiet,
Most of you understand English. English is the language of the world. English is the language of this parliament.
She cuts her off.
Okay, let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Let's calm down.
Could I ask you, madam, to sit down with respect? Sorry? And could I just say to you, as somebody who speaks very clear English, in this chamber, we are all elected by citizens. And the one remark that I had some concern about was your opening line where you said, you lot. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are all elected by citizens to represent our citizens' many points of view. And
cuts her mic off so she can take her time and then say, no, the EU didn't lose when England voted to leave. And again, that's the ceremonial parliament. They have the bureaucracy above it, and it runs it. So this is how they want to silence everybody. This is emblematic of it. Here it is.
Your contribution. Mr. Wolf, 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It seems that you, as Mrs. Atkinson as well, you are speaking only to UK, to Mrs. May and to the British people. Why are you here within the European Parliament? You should have to go home to speak, because here you speak to the European...
Back this up 20 seconds. This is so incredible. You've got this Romanian member of parliament saying, you need to go home. You need to get out of here if you don't want to address us. So they do this little bureaucratic leftist nudge where they go, oh, you're speaking too fast. She's not speaking fast, at a regular cadence. You're going too quick for the interpreter. Then they cut her off, dress her down, then another guy jumps in. Oh, let me jump in and bully the lady. We don't have uppity ladies around here. Why don't you go home? Why don't you go? She's trying to get out of the EU. That's what she just said. We want to leave. You're a corrupt thing. We don't want to be part of it. We pulled out. Follow our vote. He's like, you do not want to be with us. You go. We run you. We tell you what to do. We open you up to Islam. But then you do what we say now. Let's finish up with it. Just unbelievable. Here it is.
Speaking only to UK, to Mrs. May and to the British people. Why are you here within the European Parliament? You should have to go home to speak, because here you speak to the Europeans, you speak to all the European Union countries and people. Why don't you go home? Probably it might be time. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I will be going home at the end of March in 2019, thanks to the 17.4 million people that decided Brexit was a brighter future for Britain outside of the European Union. But I also do speak for those people up there who understand that there is a class war going on in Europe as well, a class war that is seeking to deny those who have been voted in Poland and Hungary, in Slovenia, those people who have voted for those in Germany in the AfD, for those in Holland, those in France, those who seek a different future for Europe, not a orientated future that you and many MEPs in this chamber support.
And then they cut his mic off. Alex Jones back live. Next segment, your phone calls, folks. Janice Atkinson is an amazing member of the EU Parliament. It's ceremonial. But they vote on a lot of things, and the permanent bureaucracy likes it. They then go along with it. But more and more, they're shutting down the nationalist patriot movements within it that are using the Parliament as a bully pulpit to expose the authoritarian nature of the EU that was actually hatched by Adolf Hitler. So in this 10 minutes we have, you've got the floor, Janice. I'm glad we fixed your Skype problems. JaniceAtkinson.co.uk. If people just joined us, the amazing footage of them silencing you and other nationalists just from your speech, saying you speak to us, not to your country, just next level. And you tie that in with people trying to pull out all over Europe. You tie that in to the GDPR. You tie that in to Article 13, Article 11, that even leftist media says ends free speech as we know it. I mean, they are really panicking. What's going on over there right now?
You know, Alex, we might have got rid of Soviet communism, but we've really got Euro communism, and it's alive and well with centralized state control. And no free speech is allowed unless it's approved by the dear leaders. Because actually, you know, we took the brick out of the wall for Brexit, and what we've seen is that the edifice is now coming down. So across Poland, across Hungary, in Italy, in Austria, the people are revolting. They're actually voting in the populist leaders. So, yeah, the equivalent of Brexit in Italy. My good friend Matteo Salvini is now the Interior Minister, and he's shutting down mosques and he's sending home imams, and he is rejecting 500,000 immigrants. They're doing this exactly the same with my friends who are in the Freedom Party for Austria. And of course, over in Poland and Hungary, they're saying that they're not going to accept the migrants that are going to be imposed upon us. So what's actually happening is that you are seeing a fight, a very existential threat to their actual federalist being. So they've got elections in May 2019. Hopefully the UK won't be there, but they're fighting for their real life. They're fighting for the ideal of this Europe that they've sent up with this centralized state control. And because the people are revolting all over the Europe, as you did in America with Trump, and you've got to get rid of Trudeau in Canada, you know, the edifice is falling down. So what they're trying to do is control our speech. And I wasn't just shut down about talking about Brexit. And that speech, I have my 1 minute. You're only allowed to have a minute. You're not allowed to have any more. And they cut you down. They stop you just before that minute, whereas others go on for ad infinitum. I also asked a question, an urgent human rights question, about Tommy Robinson to UK Conservatives. I don't call on the European Parliament to do anything, so my question was directly to the UK Conservatives. As soon as I said, I have got an urgent human rights question, I am given the floor because that's what happens before voting, and then I was shut down. As soon as I mentioned Tommy Robinson in the urgent human rights question, my microphone went off immediately and the whole place erupted, apart from our side, who has been standing up for Tommy. You know, he's been an issue across the whole of the EU. But again, there's no free speech unless it's approved by the dear leaders.
You know, I have several articles here today where, as you said just a few months ago, you were talking about your colleague might be able to form a coalition and take back Italy, and then, boom, it's happened. And you have to understand, these are mosques openly calling for the overthrow of Europe, for killing of Christians. These are imams that are connected to ISIS, Al-Qaeda, that they're shutting down. These aren't moderate things. And then now you've got these major, quote, refugee NGOs that are funded by Soros, and now Italy's announcing that they're going to use their navy to seize those ships. And so the EU responds saying, no, we're going to have an EU navy to counter you. There it is. Italy moves to seize 2 migrant rescue ships. Well, no, those are migrant ferries out of North Africa. I mean, it's just a brazen globalist invasion. It's incredible. And Europe is awakening, and Soros is panicking. He's being run out of Hungary. Tell us what's else is happening.
Yeah, of course, you've got the NGOs and the charities that are funded by us, the taxpayer, and of course the UN. So you've got Médecins Sans Frontières, the Red Cross, etc. They're aiding and abetting these people to cross the Mediterranean. And the UN is just opining on Twitter every single day. So many people lost at sea. So many people are dying. But my message and our message is to the refugees, the real refugees, you should be registering in the first port of that you actually come to. But the EU wants to stop that. Next month there is a vote to say, let's get rid of the Dublin rules. And so therefore they can redistribute all over. But what we're saying is that the message that should go out to Africa, because Africa's population is going to double in the next 10 years. What's going to happen? So we should be telling those people there's no jobs, there's no houses, there's no welfare, there's no cash, there's no magic rainbow, there's no magic...
We need to develop Africa. They need to be made first world, stabilize their population. We can't bring them in as a permanent client state. What, 90% of the refugees 5 years later don't have a job, of the leftist, of the socialists. They're just bringing in a detonator of people that are not compatible because of radical Islam, who they can detonate politically. I mean, well, that's my opinion. Why do you think the globalists are trying to bring in these populations that don't assimilate?
I think there's this white guilt that they've had, this colonialism guilt from France to Germany to us, etc. They absolutely hate our culture and identity. And don't forget, those open borders have let 50,000 jihadis in. And we've got another 1,000 jihadi wives that want to come back to the Middle East. These bleeding heart left liberals think that these people should be allowed back into our country. And don't worry, they'll reassimilate. And we can de-radicalize them. You can't de-radicalize them. You can't strip away.
Well, I was going to add, just like Italy and Germany, now Spain is throwing thousands of people, old people, out of their government housing, and sometimes people's own hotels, to house them, and then don't even pay them. And then you've got the federal police laughing about it. I mean, what does the left think this is going to do? You don't have the leftist like J.K. Rowling letting people in her mansions. She just wants poor people thrown out to put them in there. I mean, the left has become like just crazy psychotics.
Yeah, it's just, they'll produce a Twitter feed and, they're just virtue signaling. I was down in southern Spain a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to their Guardia Civil, which is a bit like a sort of militarized police force. And he said they had 20,000 migrants come to the southern Spain last year, and many more that slipped through that they couldn't actually find. And he reckons that this year, because of the closing off of Italy now, there's going to be doubling that. So the Guardia Civil are actually expecting 40,000. Now, some of your American viewers would be interested in this. These guys carry guns, and there's 2 enclaves of Spanish soil in Morocco, in Melilla and Ceuta. So these Guardia Civil are there. They built the wall, just like Trump wants to build. But these migrants, they take 49 seconds to jump over. And when they come over, they've got knives, they've got weapons. But you know what? The Guardia Civil are not allowed to shoot. They're not allowed to defend themselves. And these guys are hurtling at them, all fit, young men, economic migrants running.
Well, here's the deal. I don't want to capture the Islamic areas, and I'm not against all Muslims, but we need a little reconquista all over Europe that the Spanish originally launched that led in the Crusades. The Crusades were a response to being invaded and being attacked. And Europe needs to reestablish its borders, not give over Kosovo, not just like we gave away Turkey and Constantinople. No. We're being conquered. Now, we've got loaded phones. I'm going to write to people when we come back, but I want to do a few more minutes with you just to ask, looking into your crystal ball, the exploding nationalism, populism awakening, how strong is it? How far will it go? And how will Soros and others strike back? Janice Atkinson is our guest, and when we come back on the other side, we'll also look a little bit at Article 1311 that have passed out of committee to end the internet as we know it. It's Friday. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
You just saw a short excerpt of the full interview we did with this notable awakened human. If you want to see the full unedited interview, go to InfoWars Interviews online. We have links below, and we have links to the side to our other channels, but the full interviews are being posted to InfoWars Interviews online on YouTube and other platforms. And you can always find the full live transmission at Infowars.com/show. Extendowise, the latest product from InfoWarsLife.com, fuses all the known compounds that have been proven to be good for our hearts and cardiovascular system. And listen, everybody's got a heart. Well, actually, maybe Hillary and George Soros don't, but everybody else has a heart, and this product is amazing. So, if you have a heart and you want the very best product out there that's designed to aid a healthy heart, cardiovascular system, it's Extendowise, available at InfoWarsLife.com. And like all of our products are game changers, this baby is the most souped up, awesome version the top formulators could come up with and still be affordable. It's one of the very best heart pills out there. It's Extendowise. So, get some for yourself and family and friends. It's got the very best fish oil from the fjords. It's very, very pure, very, very clean, and has the EPA type that is specifically good for the heart, cardiovascular system. It's got the properly formulated type of CoQ10 and more. It is Extendowise, now available at InfoWarsLife.com.